Hello, Brandon Luyen here, and welcome to episode 3. All right, so in this episode, I'll be running you through an illustration of mine from start to finish. And it's been sped up quite a bit, so please bear with me if the narration is a little bit behind what's happening on screen. Okay, so here I am doing some quick thumbnail studies, drawings of knights and helmets in general. This is because I generally don't draw knights or paint knights and armor that often. So I really need to study the design forms and the design language and just the visual language of these armor so that my illustration can look convincing. Right? For unfamiliar subjects, it's really a good idea to do a lot of photo reference gathering, research drawing and thumbnailing to really figure out how everything looks and works. Nothing's worse than making unconvincing illustrations, right? There's a silly horse study there, funny pose, but this really helped me out to figure out the structure and anatomy of the horse as well, something that I don't draw that often also. Some horse armor studies there. Okay, on to the thumbnail phase now. And the main goal of this part is just to really get the story across in a dynamic composition with a quick read on the knight and the horse and the foreground, background, and secondary elements. Right? So I think I chose this one here as the final composition. This widescreen aspect ratio. And one of the best ways to keep the energy from the thumbnail into the final piece is really just to work from the thumbnail. Right? For my own workflow, I really enjoy drawing, so I tend to really nail down all the shapes with line before I actually go in and paint. It's a good idea to find that workflow that works best for you. In my case, I like line drawing because it's, for Photoshop even, it's quick. You can tweak the elements, you can erase, you can scale up, scale down, and which brings me back to like, yeah, Photoshop is one of those tools that is really flexible in terms of like quick editing. Right, so throwing in quick values there, trying to really nail down the energy of the horse's gallop, and really just trying to pay attention to the light source. And here I'm pretty much determining that the light is going to be shining in from the right side of the picture. Some back and forth on the knight and the horse. It took me a while to figure out what's the best angle to put the leg, the rider's leg, on the horse. It was starting to tangent with the horse's leg itself, so there's going to be a lot of back and forth there as well. Okay, some quick armor block in. Again, just really trying to nail down that horse armor and the expression as well. Yeah, that expression gave me quite a lot of trouble. It's going to be a lot of back and forth on that horse's face throughout this piece. But by the end of the illustration, I'm glad to say that I understood a little more about how to construct a horse's face. So that's always useful. Here, trying to figure out some ground planes, throwing in that tree as a background element. And because the video is sped up so much, I left my layers window and my brush palette open, just if you're curious about exactly how I'm getting certain effects or what kind of layer setting I'm using to get a certain look. Right, so that dust that you see the horse is kicking up at the bottom, That's basically just using the smudge tool to really smudge the brush strokes. And yeah, that's one of the techniques that I picked up from watching Brad Rigney's videos, right? Some awesome tutorials from a bunch of great artists online that you can buy and learn from your own too, that can definitely help your progression in digital painting. All right, more armor detailing and just really just trying to nail down the design language. Once in a while, you'll see that I pop back to those sketches a lot, just to look at the design language from my studies, so that I can incorporate that into my knight and horse design to their armor, right? Because once in a while, when you just keep on painting, you kind of lose track of the bigger picture and start to lose the design language, at least in my case, right? So it's always important to utilize your studies and your reference sketches. Here, trying to nail down the background some more, trying to figure out the shape of that gnarly tree, trying to, just really make it an interesting shape to offset the horse and the knight. Oh, there. Painted two leaves and made that a custom brush and basically use that as a basis to throw down quick foliage on the tree trunk, and then the grass brushes, well, not grass brush, but the grass is painted in with just, a sharpness brush. Right, some more foliage, just trying to detail out the foreground, adding some more ground plane stuff. And oh, here it looks like yeah, so I felt that the perspective was getting a little flat and that the camera didn't feel like you were looking up at the subject matter, the horse and the knight. So that's what you saw there, just me tweaking the perspective just a bit to make it feel like the camera's down on the ground looking up at the subject matter. Refining the horse some more and throwing in the lighting pass. And yeah, for the lighting, I just use a color dodge layer and threw in, some light gray, some white, and to really get that hot, burning feeling of the light source, right? Uh, some more tweaking here, and this is based off of some really fun animal knight's helmet that I found some reference images off the net, so that was my take on that. Again, some more play with the lighting, just trying to figure out how to use lighting to really, point the viewer's eyes in the direction that I want them to look. Oh yeah, so you saw, even though I put in a lot of work to the rock and that tree off to the right, I was stuck on this piece for a while, and after getting, some comments and feedbacks on, some fellow artists that I showed this in progress piece to, they pointed out some really shaky spots in the piece, and ultimately that led to me just like obliterating that whole left side of the piece with a rock and a tree. And so, yeah, when you're stuck, either step away, come back at a later time, or ask your fellow artists for their 2 cents and see if some of the comments that they suggest can work in a piece, right? And in this case, it totally helped me out of that artist's block. Okay, so more refining on the armor. I just really trying to feel out all the design elements. And now I'm also starting to pay attention again to the light source, right? And really, the pose of that horse is still bothering me a bit, I think, so I still go back and forth a lot on it. Oh, there, looks like I tried to throw in a face under that armor. but it looks like it didn't work out. So, I just decided to continue on some other aspect of the piece. And here, second attempt at throwing the face in. And yeah, one of the great things is instead of, like in Photoshop, instead of trying to draw in a smaller space, you can just draw that face as huge as you want and then scale it down under the helmet, right? So you don't have to try to squeeze, a lot of art painting into a smaller square footage, right? Another quick pass on lighting, right? Just trying to, again, vignette out the side. Oh, so it looks like the knight and the sword were still getting, overpowered by the all the too much light rays, I would say, that I threw in the scene. So I think this is the part where I added the cape just to add a larger, darker element to offset all that white light coming in from the left side. And also, it's a nice framing element for that glowing sword with all this magical special effects flying off from it. Some more detailing on this. I think you call those the stirrup of the horse, right? Back to the horse armor. And one of the things that I noticed here was like there's starting to be a lot of metal on the armor, so I threw in some like cloth element designs and some leather, and his cape, the knight's belt, uh, the saddle has a piece of leather that overlaps the horse armor, right? So little things like that help sell kind of like the visual variety overall. And again, like another pass on the lighting because yeah, the lighting is cool, right? So it's fun to play with lighting to really sell the mood of a piece. Okay, so now we're on to the color phase, and all I really did there was I duplicated the grayscale and just color balanced it over to the bluer end of the spectrum and just glazed over like greens, browns, oranges, and things like that, um, to get the local color of the tree and the ground plane and whatnot. Right, so play around with some filter effects to see if I can get a feeling similar to like a photographic camera. Right, more detailing, just tightening in all the brush strokes, leaving certain brush strokes soft edge versus hard edge brush strokes just to add a little edge variety to the piece. More tightening here of the little details, right, the micro details in the piece. And it looks like we're approaching the end of this video, right? So I hope this was helpful to you. I'll try to get back on schedule. I apologize for being away from making tutorials for a few months. It's been quite busy, but now that I'm back, I would definitely love to keep a regular schedule and pump out these video recordings of my workflow on a more regular basis. Okay, some last minute adjustments. And yeah, definitely if you have any questions, feel free to post a comment on my YouTube channel, and I'll be sure to get to it when I get a chance. Mhm. Final autograph there, and date and year. And thanks again, and hope to see you soon. All right, goodbye.